We both had strong points of view on everything, and were not afraid to voice our opinions. Maybe that's why we got along so well. Mutual passion and mutual respect. I had spent 20 years in marketing, becoming a branding expert to well-known larger companies like Kellogg's, Mazda, American Express, Nikon, Apple, Yahoo, and Amazon. So I quickly honed in on his agency's strategic issues with this client. "It sounds like your client has a couple of options," I said to him. "They can reposition their brand in the marketplace to where customers are going and establish their leadership with this growing customer segment. Or they could create a new market category and position themselves on the first rung of the product category ladder in their customers' minds," I stated. He stared at me for a few seconds, and with a perplexed look on his face, he said, "What is repositioning a brand? How do you establish a new market category? And what the hell is a product category ladder?" Wow, I thought. These new digital marketers, with all their knowledge of online marketing, do not know anything about branding. How are they solving complex branding issues? With bullshit? How did we get here? Why branding is the rock star. Branding has infiltrated every corner of our universe, it seems. Many consumers aren't consciously aware of it, but everything we buy, touch, eat, etc., has been thought through, analyzed, positioned, and presented in a certain way. Some of us may not be aware of how we regard certain companies and products, but we've all been influenced to some extent by a company's branding efforts. Otherwise, why would we pay $4 for a cup of coffee? Because it's not just coffee. It's a Starbucks coffee. What's fascinating is that millennials, read also digital marketers, are so affected by branding, and yet they understand so very little about how branding actually happens or even how to create a brand. Branding is all around us, and if it's effective, it makes us feel something. Once we internalize that feeling, then we essentially own that brand. It becomes ours, and we are not easily dissuaded to try or even buy another product. You don't need me to convince you that branding is valuable. Just look at all the companies that make products or provide services and dissect them down to what they actually provide. Glass, metal, chips, and software? That's what makes up an Apple iPhone. But talk to a die-hard iPhone customer, and this is what they will tell you. "I love my iPhone." Love? Needless to say, Apple has been extremely successful with their branding efforts. But if branding is so important, how did we get to a place where digital marketers know so little about branding today? The magic of a marketing Merlin. I spent 20 years crafting a marketing career that culminated in me being part of a 5-person team that built a $1 billion integrated marketing agency with over 10,000 employees in more than 30 countries. After that, I held chief marketing officer roles in 4 successful company turnarounds. So how did I, and just as importantly, how do you, become a marketing and branding expert? You start at the bottom and work for some amazing marketing people, those whom I think of as quasi-Merlins. Back in the 1980s when I started my career, and for about 50 years before that, marketing was managed in a disciplined manner inside advertising and marketing agencies. There was structure in terms of who was at the bottom and who was at the top. There was training, and there was a systematized progression of learning and experience. In other words, when you started with small accounts and worked for bright people, and you learned. If you were good, you moved up to bigger challenges. Early on, you were asked to say nothing in either company or client meetings and to learn how to listen and observe. If you were fortunate, someone would take you under their wings and start to explain the unsaid things that occurred in client meetings. Over time, you were asked to attend training programs on brand and marketing strategy so as to progress from being a tactical doer to a more strategic thinker. This usually took between 5 to 7 years and about 10,000 hours. All of that mentoring, training, and actual experience is what provided the